Hello. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited to have you all here with us for this hot topic. Lots of interest in all this ChatGPT Copilot face-off. So today we're going to be talking about the agent wars. A lot of people are really curious about agents and how they can power their workforce. And I'm partnering with my colleague, Brendan Howe, owner, founder, CEO of Techify. Welcome, Brendan.
Thank you. It's a very exciting Blue Jays day today. So we have to make sure, even though we're very serious about this AI stuff, we gotta celebrate our Blue Jays a little bit. Hugo, we should pop up that poll as well for folks that they can answer as they're joining this session here today.
We're a little curious, so we want to know, when we look at everybody who's joining, have you built an AI agent in ChatGPT or Copilot before? No judgment, we just want to know where you're at in your journey. It helps us understand and gear the presentation to a different level of knowledge. So let us know where you're at, and we'll be sharing the poll results in a minute. Brendan, have you built an agent in ChatGPT or Copilot?
I've built a few. And we're gonna talk about that today. I'm excited to talk about it.
I am too. A lot of people approach me everywhere I go asking me what an agent is, and so this was a very exciting topic to be able to enlighten a lot of people on what it is. So
so far, Luke, we're at 66% of people have not done it.
Great.
So we're only at 14% of folks that are on this that have. There's a few that haven't responded yet, but it sounds like this is going to be exciting new territory for everybody. So I think we should get into it.
Okay, so Brendan, before we get started, what's going to be our next webinar? We always like to keep the content flowing as thought leaders. So what are we going to be sharing next?
Awesome. Yes, I almost forgot about this. So this is super important. A lot of people, when they're thinking about AI, they're like, I want to be all in. I want to transform my business, but I'm super concerned about the security side. The security of it makes me worried. It gives me pause. So we are going to do a whole webinar about how to protect yourself as you're transforming with AI, how to sleep better at night, knowing that you're doing AI properly. And you're doing it safely and securely. That's what our whole webinar, November 27th, over lunchtime again. You can eat, and we will not scare the crap out of you. We will make sure that your stomach feels okay as you're eating and learning about how to be secure and safe in your AI journey.
Yeah, awesome. Knowledge is power, and that's what we hope to share with you, is that you have the knowledge to understand what are the next steps we recommend you make to be at the forefront of what's going on in terms of AI transformation. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about digital labor. We're going to go through what an AI agent is. I'm going to be Brendan in a showdown, and we'll give you a chance to vote and tell us which one you think we should use. Then we'll conclude with a few points we hope you remember, and we'll have a Kahoot. We have a Kahoot to test your knowledge. The winner will have a $25 prize to Amazon, Starbucks, whatever they wish. So lots of fun stuff ahead. So Brendan, how are Canadians working today? Walk us through it.
Okay, so let's set the stage a little bit here. So Microsoft did this great survey, over 31,000 people. They do it on an annual basis to say, hey, what's it look like? How are people working? And there were a whole bunch of interesting results, but a couple that I want to point out here. Our employees on average are interrupted every 2 minutes by meetings, emails, or pings. So if you include after hours, that's like 275 interruptions a day. So we're torturing people, essentially. They get interrupted, like their work is chaotic, fragmented, overwhelming. And this is a challenge, right? And then as leaders, we're saying we need to be more productive. We need our teams to be more productive. And our teams are saying, there's no time or energy to do our work. 80% of people are saying like, whoa, we don't have any more time. You want us to do more stuff? You want us to accomplish more? We can't. So what's the solution? Digital labor. And the vast majority of leaders are saying, okay, we need to deploy digital labor. We need to deploy AI and figure out, how can we solve this problem, this productivity challenge? How can we do more with what we have right now, or how can we do more with less? And the answer is digital labor. So that's why we're so passionate about this. This is a huge opportunity for you and for your business.
100%. I also want to, pardon me, I also want to share that a lot of people, they want to incorporate it. So there's the 82% of leaders saying they want to, but the how isn't there. The how isn't there. People are stuck, right?
Yeah.
We get, Brendan and I get approached at events all the time. People reach out to us on LinkedIn. They're stuck. They don't know how to get it going. So I think that's just an important hiatus to put into that statistic.
Yeah, and I think part of the stuck too is a really good point. Part of the being stuck is the mindset. So people are looking at AI and they're saying, okay, this is another technology tool. This is like my CRM system or my ERP system. This is, or like the expense system. This is another thing that I got to pay monthly for, and serve the private equity gods of the SaaS industry. And we're not looking at it right if we're just looking at it like a technology tool. It's not a technology tool, folks. It's digital labor. It's a digital workforce. We have the opportunity to deploy this massively powerful digital workforce that never complains, never calls in sick, consistently follows process and does what you ask it to do. It is a huge opportunity for us. So how do we deploy this digital workforce? That's what we're going to talk about today.
We're going to talk about today. And just a quick point to complement what Brendan said. Digital workforces do not replace the need for humans. So I think that's a very important clarification in terms, people don't always understand that. You can have some fear, be ignited by wanting to transform your organization and being AI forward. Digital workforces complement the talent you have. They make it an easier experience for your staff to work on what it is that they want to work on versus the administrative piece. So Brendan, why don't you walk us through how we transform?
Okay, so we have to have the human in the loop. We have to have the humans involved. So we're going to talk about building AI success, the Blue Jays edition. So one of our core values as a company is to make it fun. Well, there's nothing more fun to me right now than the Blue Jays. So let's look at AI from a Blue Jays perspective. So step one, we have to think about the foundation. So from the Blue Jays perspective, their foundation is roster construction. They don't get to where they are without figuring out who's on the roster, how are we constructing it, even for the playoffs, how many position players, how many pitchers, that sort of stuff. So from an AI perspective, our foundation is data. Where does our data live? How is it organized? What's our data strategy? That's the foundational. It's really hard to make a lot of progress and really transform if we haven't figured out the data component. And then, just like the Blue Jays have figured out, okay, how are we going to play? So they figure out we're going to play. We're going to have really strong defense. We're going to have high contact. We're not going to strike out a lot. We're going to have good pitching. So the Yankees decided we're just going to hit a whole bunch of home runs and have crappy defense, and we know what happened to them, right? Super fun. And so the Blue Jays decided how they're going to play. Our structure from an AI perspective is going to be security and governance. So from a security side, how do we set up the cybersecurity infrastructure to do AI safely? How do we make sure that we're protecting our environment so that we're not turning on the bots and turning on the agents and creating a whole bunch of risk? From a governance perspective, what is our AI policy? Our AI policy tells our team how to play. So just talked about how the Blue Jays play. We have to tell our team how to play in the AI world. What platforms can you use? What's acceptable? What's not acceptable? How do we go about it? All that sort of thing. So that's the structure. So we get the foundation and the structure, and then we get into level one, the easy stuff. It's the chatbots. We're going to hit singles. So Ernie Clement's going to be up at the dish, and we're just going to go single after single. There's a whole bunch of people on this webinar right now that have a chatbot that is taking notes for them. And so that's an example. We're using these chatbots to do meeting transcription for us. We're hitting singles. We can use whether it's ChatGPT or Copilot. We did this whole webinar last month on the differences between ChatGPT and Copilot from a chatbot perspective. So you can go back and watch that recording. Hugo will put it into the chat today. And there's all sorts of use cases that we had in there about how to deploy chatbot, how to hit singles. Then once we've been hitting lots of singles, it's game 7, baby. We want to hit some home runs. Or maybe it's game 5 and we want to lead off the game with a first pitch home run. And so we want to look at how are we going to hit some home runs. So level 2 in terms of our AI transformation is AI agents. And that's what we're talking about today. And that's what we're really excited to talk about today.
100%. And before we get going on our showdown, I just wanted to remind everyone of what an AI agent is. Think of it as a smart helper that can think, learn, and take action on its own, right? So it's helping support a process. There's different levels of agents that we'll go through, but it's not as complicated as people think. It's helping you get information in a quick manner, and you're not always reliant on the human touch once it's set up. And if we go into the different kinds of agents, you have autonomous agents, you have interactive agents, task-specific agents, and integrated agents. And again, to simplify, these different kinds of agents will have different touch points in what they do within your environment. So the first thing to do is just to understand that agents can propel your workforce forward and help you focus on what you love to do best and take over a lot of those tasks that your staff often feel boggle them down. Now, Brendan, what do you feel are some of the things that hold people back when they think of agents?
Oh, wow. You know what? This is like a custom development project, right? What do we think about? We would rather just buy software off the shelf, right? Because custom development, what do we think about custom development? It's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a whole whack of time, and it may not have any impact whatsoever. So for example, the average custom development project can cost upwards of $500,000, and it could be as long as 2 years or more. And who knows what's going to happen with it. So that's what shied us away from doing stuff like what we're talking about today, creating agents internally and trying to automate workflows. But the paradigm is changing now. We don't need to pay homage to the private equity gods anymore of the SaaS industry. We don't need to keep on paying these monthly fees for more and more applications. We can start doing some custom development, some custom applications, and we can do it agents. We're going to show you how easy that is to do here today.
100%. I think people sometimes subconsciously will overcomplicate it. And once you start to understand the ease, the team building component, it'll enlighten you quite a bit. So let's get going. You ready, Brendan?
Yeah. I don't know if we're quite going to war. This is like kind of a friendly competition.
I have 3 brothers. I'm pretty competitive. So
right.
We did our own slides, everyone who's watching. I think it's really important to understand. Brendan and I gave it our own flair. And but the one thing I did this morning, Brendan, quite early, is I thought I'd go in and just tweak your first slide because I thought it needed a little more decoration. So you want to kick it off? I won the last one, so I thought I'd let you start it.
Hold on, I just need to get one thing. I just thought of something I need here. So, okay, are we ready? Are we ready to get going?
All right, let's get going.
You know what? If you're too mean to me, I've got a weapon. I'm ready to go.
Good. I'm glad you have it in hand. So, what is your first reason you think creating an agent via ChatGPT is better than Copilot? And I designed your first slide, and I may have used AI to create this image.
All right. Yeah, so that wasn't me creating my own superhero, by the way, because I had no involvement in this whatsoever. Okay, so here's what I like about ChatGPT. I've created a whole bunch of agents in ChatGPT. It's the ease of use. It's the accessibility, right? Why does ChatGPT have this 80% market share of the chatbot environment? Because it's so easy, it's so accessible. So if we're trying to get people is always the hardest thing with technology, right? So if we're trying to get our people using technology and using it better, the accessibility and ease of use of ChatGPT it's where it's at. This is what I really like about it. So here, I'm going to show you an example. I was towards the end of the summer, I coach hockey. And towards the end of the summer, I'm thinking about the upcoming hockey season. And one of the things I don't love about coaching hockey is creating practice plans. I love coaching the kids, being on the ice, teaching them about the game. I love playing myself. But preparing practice plans, not super fun. So what I did is I was watching, funny enough, I was watching a Blue Jays game. And I had my computer in front of me, and I said, I'm going to create an agent that will create practice plans for me. So I came up with a fun name for the agent, and it allows me, and I trained it. I said what our team was like, the age group, how we practice, what other practice plans I'd done in the past, and was able to use regular language. And I've created this agent, which is now within ChatGPT, that when I'm preparing for a practice, I can say, hey, do you have any ideas about practice plans to work on defensive zone coverage, or to work on scoring? Or we had this issue with this game the other day. What would you suggest we do? And it's fantastic. And it's already starting to save me a bunch of time in my prep so that I can focus more on the boys on the ice and coaching them. And it literally, the whole process of me doing it took less than an hour. And even that was long because I was watching the baseball game and I was sort of half doing it, half watching the baseball game type of thing. So the ease of use, I have no development background. I'm not a coder. That's not my background. And it was really simple for me to do.
Awesome. I'm glad that you prefer to work with simple tools. Let's see what Copilot can do. So everyone, meet Anushka. This is my avatar I created. She is the icon for the agents within my team's environment. And I love Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot is one of my favorite superheroes. I'm actually going to try to convince Brendan to get a backdrop of her behind me. And I want to say that the reason I prefer creating agents in Copilot is because it works where I work. So it's not just another tool or a tab. It's like it's built right inside my environment. So I'm creating something that has access to my teams, my Outlook, understands the way I work. It's decorating a room I already live in. I'm not having to start from scratch and tell it, hey, pull information from here and search from it. When you build an agent in ChatGPT, Brendan, you have to give it a map. Right? So when I'm building it within Copilot, it's already understanding my environment. So what does it do? It's built right inside my workflow. It already knows my house, so it's easy for me to decorate it and make it work for me. And it designs conversations that actually work. And because I use Copilot in other instances, such as Copilot Chat, I use it in my teams, it just ties right into the tool rather than me having to click on another tab to access my agent. So for me, that's a big win. I like to simplify my life. I like to create success rhythms. And that is my first point of why I think that my solution is better. And just for everyone watching, this is my Anushka agent. I love her. She's right in my teams, right embedded. You wouldn't even know it's an agent if you didn't know it's an agent because it's like just a Teams channel. So Brendan, what's your second point?
That's pretty cool. I like your superhero. All right, so let's talk about. Here's what I was thinking. My next point. Why do I like ChatGPT? I think you talk about integrations. It has integrations too, and it's not living out in the world all separate from the other world. So we've got a business license of ChatGPT. We've deployed it internally. It uses our Microsoft security single sign-on to log in. So I have that security, and I can create an integration. And this video here, I did this morning. I decided, hey, we use HubSpot for our CRM. I'd like to, every once in a while, I'll talk to different prospects, different folks that are looking to hire us, and I'll have deals that I'm working on with HubSpot. But, sometimes I forget to update them and that sort of thing. And I was thinking, hey, I'm not being a very good leader, not showing a very good example if I'm not making sure I update my stuff in HubSpot. So I said, hey, I'm going to create I'm going to create an agent that did this. So I created this agent, called it Sales Champ. And what this agent does is there's an integration with ChatGPT and HubSpot. And this agent will go and it will look at HubSpot and it will see any deals and give me a summary of any deals on a daily basis that I need to update, that I need to work on. And it's added right within my ChatGPT, right within the interface on the left-hand side there. And I literally created this morning. So this video that we were just showing, the whole period of time for me to create this took 10 minutes. I created this agent in 10 minutes and it was ready to use. I can refine it further over time, but it's taking a workflow. It's taking a workflow on a day-to-day basis that I need, that can help me, that can automate an administrative task and dramatically improving it.
That's awesome. We had a viewer say, can we enlarge the screen? Sorry, Belinda, we can't, but I'm happy to show it to you one-on-one afterwards. Feel free to reach out. So my second point is the user experience. For all of those who work with me, at the forefront of everything I do, I care about the human piece. And I think that we have a lot of tools within our work environments that are fantastic, but they're not used to the maximum. How many times have you bought a car and used 10% of the tools it has because nobody truly teaches you how to maximize all of it? So I think that with Copilot, I'm really getting the maximum out of the agent creation because it's already within my environment. So for the user, it's a great experience. It's instantly familiar, right? So when I'm going to build an agent, it's within my chat on Copilot, create an agent, and then I have access to Copilot Design Studio. I feel understood and I feel empowered. I'm not frustrated. I don't want to throw my computer out of a window because it's walking me through step by step. And again, it has access to everything that it needs. It makes me confident and make me feel capable. A lot of times what happens is people will click on something 3 times, and if they don't get what they want, they'll give up. That's a statistic. It doesn't take long for people to feel discouraged when it comes to tech. So with Copilot agent creation, you're like, oh, it already gets me. I'm able to build it myself. I don't have to always lean on someone, and I'm not going to break anything. I feel that it's safe and trusted, and we'll talk about that more in my third point. And then I feel like I'm proud and productive. And we talk a lot about culture within organizations, and a lot of people are in a hybrid format, bringing people back to work, but creating agents can be a huge team building component so that you're powering the way you work together and you're teaching people how to change the way they work themselves. So for me, Brendan, that piece is really important. Talent retention is at the forefront of a lot of businesses. So I feel that Copilot's really taken that into consideration.
Yeah, and I think you're giving some good examples of how you can hit some home runs with Copilot. So I'll give you that. I think it's great. Terry asked a question in the chat about asking for some background on what a workflow is. So when we talk about workflow, we're talking about something that somebody does in your organization and that could potentially be automated. So think about a type of work, manual process. So you could say a workflow would be taking meeting notes. Okay, so I could use Copilot or I can use Read AI, or I can use some sort of chatbot and automate that workflow and use AI to automate that workflow. So workflow is essentially anything that somebody does. Where we look at agents and where we look at AI, the highest impact would be a repetitive workflow or a repetitive manual process. That this is a process that we do in our organizations that takes up a bunch of time, and it's something that gets done over and over again. It's predictable. It may be kind of lower level, maybe a little bit more administrative, like the example I gave with looking at the CRM, updating the CRM, writing emails, that sort of thing. Okay, yeah, so
100%.
My last point. So I really like the response quality of ChatGPT. So I think Copilot is getting better. It's getting there. It's improving. But the quality of responses sometimes just aren't quite as good as ChatGPT. So when I looked at ChatGPT, I'll take something like, hey, I I'd like to create a board of directors. So we're a small business. I don't have a board of directors. I'd like to have a board of directors. Who would I like to have on my board of directors? You know what? I'd like to have Jim Collins. I'd like to have Gino Wickman. I'd like to have Patrick Lencioni. I'd like to have these different smart people who I read on a regular basis, and then I'm going to ask them questions. So I created a board of directors, called it Transformation Board, with ChatGPT, and this is an agent. And I can ask questions like, hey, how do I improve sales? How do I improve client retention? And then it will go around in a roundtable format in the words, in the voice of these different folks that are folks that I read a lot. Dan Sullivan's another good example, Dan Martell. And they're folks that they have unique voices and will give me advice from their perspective. And when I see their advice, it's fantastic. It's like they're sitting at the table with me. It's like it's got the personality, and they all have their unique perspective and stuff like that. And ChatGPT is really good for that external facing stuff. So Anouk talks about if you're using your information internally and stuff that you have maybe within SharePoint or data within your own systems in your company, Copilot, yeah, it's great for that. If you're looking external and it's not your internal company data, I find ChatGPT is really effective for that sort of stuff. And if I'm going out in the greater world and trying to access all of the world's knowledge, ChatGPT is really effective at summarizing that and putting it in sort of an easy to use way of working.
That's my favorite use case you brought forward. I remember, and everybody watching, I'll give him this one. I think this is like, he doesn't win the point, but this is a great example. When Brendan brought this, so we're very AI enthusiasts here. So it's not unknown that on a Saturday morning, we're in our basement testing stuff. And I remember when Brendan built this agent, he was all excited. And I think this is incredible. Think about being able to get advice in real time from people you truly respect. And when you point it to the right sources, it's fantastic. So some low-hanging fruit to help.
Let me add thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you conceding that I should win this whole battle. And let me just add like other use cases. Maybe you want to have an investment committee. Maybe you want to have different people that like the reason why we do this in an agent and not just in the general chat. If we do it in the general chat, it's just going to respond based on whatever it thinks, or we're going to have to train it and ask it, give me a response based on these 8 people. We build an agent, it will be trained based on what's the frame, what's the lens, how do you want me to respond, and then it will do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, and just last point is, for example, if you have an author, so Dan Sullivan, well-known, gives a lot of great advice, but he's also changing, right? As he's writing his books, he's evolving. So Brendan could say, hey, I want his last book to be the main source of knowledge. I don't want you to use everything he's done because he's evolved, and this is really the money. This is where the advice is that I want. So it's fantastic in being able to point to the source when you're building it. So my last point is, I keep your house on lockdown. I kept my best point for last. I wanted to finish strong. Nothing to me is more important than cybersecurity when it comes to AI. AI creates a porous environment that a lot of people are unaware about, right? So, your kids are coming home. They're like, oh, I got all this free AI stuff. AI is opening the doors to your house. When I'm creating an agent within my Copilot environment, the locks are already installed. No stress. I know when it's properly set up, you have to make sure that your data is set up, as Brendan said earlier. The locks are installed, so you can go ahead and build your agent and access what you're allowed to access. Every room has clear boundaries. So what do I mean by that? When we do a rollout for a client, we make sure that the SharePoint site is locked properly. So for example, we can't have a junior member go into Copilot and ask its agent to use salaries as a source of knowledge because it doesn't have access to that folder. So I know that when I'm creating my agent, I'm not going to get in trouble and access what I'm not allowed to. The cameras are always on, so there's monitoring within your 365 environment. So it's nice to know that you're safe. And I'm renovating when I'm building my agent. I'm not rebuilding. I'm not starting from scratch. I've already created the security guards, and I'm not worried about opening up my environment.
That's a good point. Security is key, is super important.
Yeah. And what I wanted to show everyone is we have an agent. So live applications are nice for people to understand a little bit more about how it can power them. We have an HR agent at Techify, and it's called Gino. And what does Gino do? I can go to Gino and say, hey, how many vacation days do I have left? Hey, what's our policy on this holiday? You know, anything HR related, I can go into my team's chat and get it in real time. And I don't know about everybody on this call, but I work a lot and I don't always have time to go ask an HR question in between 9 to 5. So I could be at any point on my computer and get an HR response that will help power me in a decision I want to make. I can ask about a health coverage. So that's very helpful. The second thing I wanted to show everyone is our Director of Data and AI, Selby Kotsi. She shows us here, you know, how she's creating an agent. You can create agents in very little time. It doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect instantly. Testing is essential when you create an agent, and it's important to have somebody walk you through the knowledge source initially so that you don't get frustrated, as we said. So when we look at how an agent is created within Copilot, there's a design phase where I'm telling the agent, what do I want to create? I want to create a customer service agent. Customer service is at the forefront of Techify, right? It's very important for us that customers feel served. So then I go in, I tell it what I want to create. Once I've gone through that step, then I'm going to go into the configure tab. When I go into the configure tab, that's when I'm pointing to a knowledge source, right? And then when I create my agent, I can start testing it. And it's a little bit deeper than that, but it's not that much more complicated. Playing around with it, once you know how to do it, you feel very empowered. And then you've got an agent created that's within your environment within 10 to 15 minutes. What do you think, Brendan?
I think this stuff is great.
But you're a company owner. You're a company owner. You like things to be safe.
Yeah, well, you want to have stuff safe, and that's why you need to have a plan, and you need to have good folks that you can call on and get that advice to make sure it's safe. I think there's a lot of great stuff within Copilot. I think there's a lot of great stuff within ChatGPT. I wonder what our audience thinks.
Terry's asking, what do you need to create an agent? You need a Copilot license.
Yeah, you need a Copilot Studio license.
Yeah.
So there's one license that you can put in place. So let's get you. Everybody should have a poll popping up on their screen.
Can I vote for myself?
What do you think? No, you're not allowed to vote for yourself. Who do you think won the showdown? Was it ChatGPT or was it Copilot? Who would you, if you had to choose right now, which one would you choose?
And quickly, while people are voting, Terry, the cost for a Copilot license is about $42 Canadian a month. You can choose to, I believe, you can choose to go monthly or you can buy it as a yearly subscription. That's the requirement. I'm curious. Who wins the showdown?
Come on, people.
I won.
Somebody's got
I won again.
Somebody's got to be supporting me here.
You got no, but you did better. You got 38%, 37%.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah. Well, Fred is. You know what? Fred's really right. You have this capability within. If you have to choose between one of them, I think Fred said that if you're working with Microsoft products, that makes sense. I still think Anouk probably voted 10 or 12 times herself. And I'm not totally convinced. But let's talk about the final verdict here. What would we say if we were giving you advice? Here's what our final verdict is. We really think you should use both. There's use cases for both. There's opportunity for both. So, Rachel, I appreciate your support. Yeah, ChatGPT is way more customizable. Fred says, "Hey, I'm working in a Microsoft environment. Makes much more sense to use Copilot." And so the reality is, you don't have to choose between one or another. You can look at parts of your organization. Some folks could spin up agents during Copilot using Copilot. Some folks can use ChatGPT. It really depends the job role. So don't close yourself off to just using one. You don't need to close yourself off. You can use both of them.
So Terry asks which one offers better security and privacy. I feel wholeheartedly that it's Copilot because it's within your environment when you're already properly set up. And as Brendan said, they are the ultimate power duo. For all of the watchers, I like to share personal ways of how I use AI. It is not unknown that I'll have Chat Plus on one screen and I'm building a Copilot on the agent and my little chat coach is helping me through it. So they can really work well together. I think chat is more like a bestie, right? You're conversing with it. Rachel, you brought up a good point where you feel it's more customizable, but Copilot is within my environment. So when I'm creating an agent for work, it's a no-brainer that I would prefer to use Copilot.
Yeah, listen, Terry, based on what I know and our experience over the last 3 years, the one that offers better security and privacy is definitely Copilot. It's true, and if we've got sensitive data that we're interacting with and we want an agent to interact with, I'm going to do that within Copilot. I'm not going to have Chat do that. But the less sensitive stuff, I'm going to have Chat do it as long as I've got a business license, as long as it's a paid license, as long as it's a company one, and as long as I'm using my Microsoft security to access it. Okay, so let's keep moving because there's one kind of more point that we want to make here.
So where do we go from here? So a lot of people will approach us and say, okay, I'm curious about agents. We've educated you on the different kinds of agents we're using here. So where do we go from here? Brendan, why don't you walk us through the key of transformation?
So I think we always start with what are the technologies and what can you do, right? Because we all get excited. Wow, we can do these amazing things with chatbots and with agents and stuff like that. The key to transformation is getting in place the right strategy, structure, and people. So at some point, if you don't do this work, you're gonna be stopped. And you're not going to make the progress to truly transform, because if you're just sort of doing it on a reactive basis and you're just trying out stuff, it's not really going to transform. So here, let's talk about what the right strategy, structure, and people looks like. So what a good strategy looks like. What we want to do is we want to make sure we have a number of things that are in place. So we want to have a roadmap. We want to, Nick, if you start going through the different points here. Yeah, so we want to make sure that we have a really good technology and data strategy. And so we talked about that data strategy before. We got to have the right infrastructure. If we've got a bunch of technical debt, it's going to stand in the way of us implementing AI. If we have a bunch of on-premise servers, if our data is not in the right place, we have to identify our use cases. What are we gonna use it for, right? How are we gonna come back? What are we gonna use it for? And then once we have our use cases, we're gonna build that roadmap. And it's key to our strategy. So we want to have those things in place. I see a whole bunch of questions popping up in the meeting chat. We're gonna come back to those at the end. We'll stay on and we'll go through all these questions. So when we have the right strategy in place and we're thinking about technology from a proactive strategic side, then let's talk about structure. And here's the structure that we have to have in place. So first thing we need to place, let's work in a 90-day cycle, right? Whether you're an EOS company or you use different techniques, we all work generally on kind of a quarterly basis. So what are we going to accomplish over the next 90 days? And we have this, and we want to set goals and we want to set initiatives and do things and make sure we've got a cycle of doing that. We want to put in place monthly training. We need to train our staff. We need to enable them. We need to make sure that they know how to use the platforms or the agents or the chatbots that we put in place. And then the other thing in structure, we got to make sure that we've got some peer sharing. and an opportunity for our teams to share ideas, right? We're sharing ideas here on the chat today, which is great. Having our teams and our staff share that is super important as well. And part of that structure and foundation, we got to have best practices auditing and alignment in looking at our technology, looking at our security infrastructure. Are we looking at things? Are we making sure that we're being safe on an ongoing basis? Okay, and lastly, let's talk about people. So there's new positions. We got to make sure that we have the right people in place. So there's this new position called the Chief AI Officer. And so like a lot of businesses do in bringing on a fractional CFO, don't have the expertise in-house. If you look at your team and you don't have the expertise in-house to lead AI strategy and AI projects, bringing on fractional Chief AI Officer is super important. Another position we're seeing, hey, we've had HR for many years. So and HR manages our human workforce. Well, now we need to look at how we're going to manage our digital workforce. Who's going to make sure to train the agents? Who's going to make sure that the agents are behaving, that the agents are secure, that they're giving the right feedback, that they're being used properly? Who's going to deploy new agents? Who's going to deal with the API integrations? So we showed you some basic agents that don't have complicated integrations, but the more you start working with agents, the more you start saying, hey, how do we tie this into our ERP system? And how do we tie this into some other areas of data? And then you start getting into a more complex world. We need to have, or we don't need to have, but we've seen it dramatically more successful to transform an organization if you have a success team. So building a success team that's, between 10 and 20% of your company, people that are going to be the ones that are going to try out AI, that are going to be the leaders in your organization, that are going to talk up the different use cases and lead the charge. And then we have to have that cybersecurity expertise. And at all these cases with these people, evaluate, what do you have in-house? Do you have enough in-house, or do you need to bring in somebody from outside? And it could be a partner. It doesn't necessarily need to be a full-time staff member. So strategy, structure, people.
And I want to jump in, Brendan, because I just want to share a story from one of our clients with our viewers. Is Brendan brought up in the previous slide, sharing, right? Sharing success stories. He's talking about the people. I help with AI implementations. I cannot stress enough the importance of the people, the sharing, the excitement, the team building. We find we have the greatest success with firms who celebrate the wins, who share prompts with one another, and who incorporate AI truly in the day-to-day. So I did want to share that component, because sometimes people they think the people's on the side. The people is at the forefront of AI being successfully rolled out within your organization. So how do we support customers?
Yeah, look, if you want to transform, if you truly want to transform, most of the IT departments and IT companies out there, they're not equipped to guide you on your AI transformation journey. So if you're looking for help, if you really want to transform, you're looking for help, you're looking for a partner to work with you and guide you, this is what we do. There's three core things we do. We help people transform with AI the right way. We make sure that there's a cybersecurity process in place that never sleeps and protects you. And we create a foundation of proactive IT support that saves you a ton of money. We help people move from reactive to proactive IT support. And really, we'll start and we'll make sure your infrastructure is good, your cybersecurity is good, and then we'll help you transform on that AI side and do it safely, securely, do it the right way. And we can put the things in place that we just talked about to make sure that you have a successful transformation as you go through. So, but even if you don't believe me, you don't trust me, that's fine. We're going to give you an opportunity to try us out, and we're going to give you an opportunity to try us out for free. We will do a free AI readiness assessment for you. And so if you use the QR code here, it'll take you to a sign up page. And what we do with this AI readiness assessment, we're going to look at your technology, your infrastructure. We're going to look at what you need to do in order from a cybersecurity perspective. We're going to look at what do you have in place from policy perspective. Do you have a success team? Have you deployed chatbots? And we'll help you put together the initial stages of a plan to implement AI in your organization, and we'll do that for free. So if you're interested, it'll take us kind of a half an hour, 45-minute call. We've got a bunch of standard questions we'll ask, and we'll guide you through the initial steps of that journey.
Yeah, and we'll pop the QR code in the chat. I know I went through that slide pretty quickly, but we'll get that QR code for you. Absolutely. The idea is that we want to learn a little bit more about you, and then we add that human touch in the evaluation. So thank you, Brendan. One of the funnest part of our webinars, it's Kahoot time. And the reason we do this is because it's important for us that you retain some of the knowledge that we prepare, and we think that this is a fun way to do it. So my colleague Hugo is going to take over the screen to run our Kahoot. And all you'll want to do is type in kahoot.it. We find it works just as well on your phone. So if it's easier for you to just go onto your iPhone, put in the game pin. We encourage you to use a fun name. If you use a name that we can't recognize and you win, just in the chat, let us know that you're the winner, and we'll connect with you to give you your prize. We were at a CEO Global event yesterday with 200 CEOs who played a Kahoot. So no matter how old you are, people want to have some fun. I recognize some names. So here's how Kahoot's going to work. We'll get it started in about 60 seconds. I will ask a question. The speed of your response will impact your score. So even if 3 people get it right, it's the person who did it the fastest. Oh, Blue Jays fan. Awesome. We've got some Blue Jays love.
All right. Do we think we're ready to go?
I think we're ready to go. And don't worry, if you're still signing up, you're going to be added in afterwards. Let's get started. Here we go. Okay. Question number 1. According to Microsoft, how many interruptions are employees experiencing per day? 150, 225, 275, or 200? On that note, I asked our IT team to remove MSN as my Chrome landing page because of this exact reason. So many distractions that we don't even realize throughout the day. 275. That's a big number, right? So
all right, who's
keep that
winning?
in mind. Baba.
All right.
Which is not one of the 4 steps to building AI success? Data as a foundation, security and governance, AI agents, or all of them are steps? You can see we're Blue Jays fans here. All right, let's see. Look at that. All of the steps, correct.
Awesome. We got a high level of engagement. I like this.
LM in the lead. AI agents are smart helpers that can think, learn, and take action on their own with some guidance. True or false? I like that picture. True. Awesome. LM still in the lead.
Maybe that one was too
coming
easy.
back. AI is not a technology tool. AI is a digital workforce, an automated assistant, a friend to confide in, or an app you can use. A very common misconception. Digital workforce, correct. You need to teach people how to use it. It's not just a tool, you deploy it and it helps you work every day. Question number 5 of 8. Your AI success will depend on if you have the right strategy, structure, and people, apps, cybersecurity and prompts, data, chatbots, and agents, security, people, and prompts. Brendan, we'll see how well everyone listens to you.
We will.
All right, let's see. Correct. Strategy, structure, and people.
They listened. They really listened.
Tasha's now in the lead. LM in second. 6 of 8. Which of these is not a category of an AI agent? So that's probably one of the tougher questions. An interactive agent, a security agent, autonomous agent, or integrated agent? Security agent. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. This is going to probably impact the scoreboard.
Ooh.
Jacob in the lead. When building AI agents, which platform do we recommend you use? I think this one's a little easy. Awesome. And then our final question. True or false? Your next steps with AI agents is just run wild and start creating agents. False, correct. So let's see who's the winner. So in third place, Tasha, great job. In second place, we have Par. And then in first place, we have Jacob. Good job, Jacob. Let us know in the chat your full name and email, and we will reach out to you and you can get your prize. Great job, everyone.
Or you can just put your full name in and we'll figure out your email address based on the registrations if you don't want to share that with everybody.
You got it. You got it. So what's next, everyone? We're going to open it up for some questions. I know there was a lot going on in the chat. Don't feel that the conversation stops here. If there are more questions that we don't answer, you can always reach out to us. But if you have any more questions, please pop them in the chat and we're happy to. Thank you, Stephen. We're happy to answer them.
Okay, what I would just say, there's one question I saw in the chat. So we've been answering questions in the chat. And Terry, I was trying to look up the link to the Coursera stuff I was suggesting, but if you email me afterwards, I'll find it and send it on to you. One question that I just wanted to touch on, there was a comment about, hey, we work in a mainly Google environment. So Copilot, in our process, it was Clara. She said our processes are deeply embedded in G Suite. So if you're deeply embedded in G Suite, Gemini is a really good option for you, right? Again, this is not like a dogmatic type of, like we're not saying, hey, you got to use Microsoft or you got to use ChatGPT. This is more like, if you remember back with the internet revolution, we started to use web browsers, different web browsers. So we used to use Netscape Navigator. How many people use Netscape Navigator today in their surfing? You don't, right? So we may be using ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini or Perplexity or Claude or whatever today, and we probably won't be using the same chatbot. But the key here is we want to access the underlying revolutionary technology, which is AI. That's what we're looking to access. So use whatever web browser, use whatever chatbot, use whatever kind of platform makes best sense based on where your data is and what applications that you're using. on a regular basis. So it was a great question, great point by Clara, and I just wanted to bring it up.
I had one from Don Parente, and it was answered, but I think it's important to bring it up. Can an employee of our firm use Copilot to access restricted areas? So that depends on how it was set up. And what happens with a lot of AI is exciting, right? So when you start using AI, you're like, oh my God, this is great. This is a game changer. But you never want to deploy AI without making sure that you've created an environment where, one, you have the data in the right place, but also that you have the proper security in place. We do a lot of SharePoint modernizations to get people set up for Copilot use, because you never want to open the floodgates without making sure that things are locked down. So John, you can absolutely, but it has not been uncommon for us to hear of people rolling it out, right, Brendan? You had examples of people rolling it out and not putting the guardrails and accessing very sensitive salary information. So we can't stress enough, make sure that you have someone who's supporting to make the environment is ready for that floodgate opening.
That's bang on, and I think that's a good spot that we can end off. We're getting close to the hour. I wanted to make one more really, really important point. So thank you, by the way, for all the positive feedback. The Blue Jays are going to Game 6 tomorrow, and they have the opportunity to become World Series champions. So I want to make sure everybody's cheering on and enjoying this run, this Blue Jays run. And if you're not a regular baseball fan, ask your chatbot. It can give you all sorts of information and help guide you on the journey to supporting Toronto Blue Jays. Anouk, I'll pass it back over to you, but really appreciate everybody and being on this webinar, how many people, and all the feedback.
Yeah, and we're going to pop in one last poll. We do this for you. So we are a feedback-driven organization. We take feedback as an opportunity to grow and learn. So we would like to know how you felt about this webinar. Did you get value from it? And feel free to share other topic ideas that you'd like within the chat, or you can reach out to Brendan and I separately. We're happy to try to create content that helps you shine bright. That's what we're all about. And with that, thank you, Brendan.
Thanks, Anouk. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Let's go, Jays. Bye, everyone.